Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged, USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course, the king of all, those cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes, massive steaks. Even those Prime Angus and Wagyu burgers are probably the best you've ever had, certainly the best I've ever had. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's www.UppercutChops.com. Or give a call and find out what's for dinner, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. What a great name for the boxing world. What could be better than an uppercut in the chops? All right, a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. And, of course, all of our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, and WOW Cable Television affiliates, as well as Hotel TV, gaining about 4 million impressions per hour. Here with a very special guest. Again, Joe Cortez, International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee, is with us on a regular basis, folks, and he is our boxing insider. Joe, welcome back to the Sports Circus. Yes!
Hello, welcome. How you doing?
Buddy, everything's great. Everything's good in the hood. You look like you're ready to go about, 12 rounds. Because we don't go 15 rounds anymore. Now we go 12 rounds, right?
Yeah, but I can go 15.
You could go 15 rounds, exactly. Throwing a couple of punches here and there. You look like you're ready to go about 15 rounds. And by the way, folks, in case you don't know anything about Joe Cortez, Joe, Gold Gloves champion. Joe, give everybody the quick 15, 30 seconds on your boxing background outside of being a referee.
Well, I started boxing when I was 15 years old. I won my first New York Golden Glove Novice Championship about the age of 16 back in 1960, a couple of years back. And then I won the Open Spanish Golden Glove that same year. Then the following year, I won the Open Golden Glove Championship. I won the Eastern Golden Glove Championship, the National Golden Glove Championship. That was in 1962. I reached the finals in the Golden Gloves. I won 2 out of 3 championships in the Golden Gloves.
And you were the guy that knocked out 2 guys in one night.
That's correct. I can't believe it myself to this day. I mean, it's unbelievable just thinking about it. But I was really done it. I've been looking at record books to see no one has ever accomplished that.
That's unbelievable. I'm just the idea of, I don't care whether it was a quick 10, 15 second get in, beat some guy to the ground or whatever. The reality is you knocked out 2 guys in one night, and that's never been done since.
That was in the Golden Gloves, yes. Nobody, never done. Never been done before. It hasn't been done ever since. That was 61.
That's unbelievable. I mean, we're talking 62 years ago, thereabouts. Unbelievable, folks. And it still stands today.
Yeah, well, most of the viewers that are watching weren't even born when I accomplished that.
Well, hey, you never know, right? We could have an older crowd watching us today, right? I mean, nobody really knows. But the reality is, Joe, you were the last guy to do it. And who knows if you were the first, but I certainly know you were the last guy to do it.
Yeah, they've been looking. They couldn't find one before me. And sure, definitely no one after me.
It's kind of a cool thing. Okay, so, look, we have a lot to talk about. And at your weight class, when you went and you fought pro after that, which weight class were you in?
I went as a bantamweight, 118-pounder.
Okay, so how many weight classes are there total?
Well, when I was fighting in 2012, by now they kind of double it. Because back then, there was 112 pounders. That was the lightest division. Now it's 105 pounds. And then 112, then 118, then 122. Then 126, 130, all those weight classes that were not around when I was fighting.
Now, why do you think that they have doubled the weight classes since you were fighting?
Well, 2 reasons. One, it's more money for the sanctioning bodies and a better opportunity for fighters to make weight, because a lot of fighters couldn't make certain weight classes. Like back in the old days, there was a light heavyweight champion, let's say like Bob Foster. He fought, I think it was Floyd Patterson. And for the heavyweight championship, Bob Foster was the light heavyweight champion. From 175 to 200 and 215 pounds, a big difference, big gap. So they created a cruiserweight division in between that, 200-pound division.
Now, Joe, do you talk about this on the Fair But Firm show? By the way, folks, that can be seen every Friday. I believe that is on various social media platforms, including YouTube. Tell everybody real quick before we jump back into this about the Fair But Firm show.
Well, I do the Fair But Firm show. It's going to be about, everything that's got to do with boxing. And then I have the other show, which is called the Joe Cortez show, which I do on Fridays as well. And that's a variety show. I have everybody from all walks of life on the show. But the Fair But Firm show, I try to educate the fans out there what goes on in boxing, the rules on boxing, and what goes on behind the scenes. And also for official judges, referees, doctors, timekeepers, inspectors, cutmen, promoters, managers. They all learn a little bit about what's going on with boxing from a referee's perspective.
So you have two shows. You have the Fair But Firm show and the Joe Cortez show, correct?
That's correct.
And when do they both air for all the listening and viewing audience today?
Well, the Fair But Firm show is what we're going to hope to be doing with your website, and then the Joe Cortez show is on Fridays.
Okay, all right. And how long are those shows typically in length?
Well, the Sports Circus is supposed to be a 30-minute show. The same one with the Joe Cortez show is a 30-minute show.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. So, folks, make sure
they're going to be under the Joe Cortez show, but the Fair But Firm show is about Joe Cortez talking about. It's my show that I've had for over 10 years, talking about boxing. I've had that show for 10 years going on, and other individuals like yourself want to have me do a little bit interview on your show, reference to what I do with the Fair But Firm show, which is I really enjoy doing it because people know me as Mr. Fair But Firm. That's my catchphrase, and also that's my trademark name, Fair But Firm.
Well, we are fair. I can't say Fair But Firm because that's your trademark, if you know what I mean, right? So, but we are fair and reasonable. Everything that we do here on this show, we try to give people a fair and reasonable point of view. And sometimes people don't like what they hear. And I can't help that because people hear what they want to hear. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, it depends, People know that the Fair But Firm, Joe created that, and I created that. And I've been wanting to do the Fair But Firm Academy, which is something that I've done seminars all over the country, all over the world. And I'll continue to do that. So everybody knows me at the Fair But Firm. When people look up Fair But Firm, they see Joe Cortez. And if I do something on somebody else's show, it's fine. I can do something about my show on somebody else's. I'm very courteous about doing things with people like yourself. I like to share my knowledge and wisdom with your listeners and your viewers out there of what I'm doing with boxing. But everybody wants to know from the man himself, Joe Cortez, what's he doing with Fair But Firm show on a weekly basis. That's what I'm trying to do. Help everybody to learn a little bit more about boxing.
Right. And with our viewing and listening audience here, Joe, we have a very, very large footprint. And so our viewers and listeners have a chance to hear from somebody like yourself, boxing inside data, inside rules, inside everything. They get a chance to look inside, maybe behind the curtain, behind the green curtain, like the Wizard of Oz. They get a chance to hear and see really what goes on behind the scenes. So, folks, we're talking about this because, in case you don't know, in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know about Joe Cortez, you're certainly going to learn a lot about Joe Cortez here on the Fair But Firm show, also on the Joe Cortez show. You're going to learn a lot about him. Joe's a very visible guy. We want to make sure we give him maximum exposure here because this is all about sharing the camera, sharing the microphone, and this guy has decades and decades and decades of knowledge that everybody needs to learn from. Absolutely. And Joe, again, it's always a big welcome having you on the show. So now that we got that business out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about the difference in our last couple of minutes here. We're going to carry this over into the next segment. The difference between the belts, the WBC, WBO, the WBA, the IBF, etc. We have more prestigious ones. Apparently, we have some that have been around longer. Then we have the multicolored, like the belts from the Rocky movie, which you certainly know about because you were involved in the Rocky series as well. But talk to me about the significance quickly. Just take a quick minute and talk about the difference between those four major belts, if you will.
Well, these are four sanctioning bodies, and each one of those bodies has their own champion. And then sometimes when you got a fighter that wins, let's say, for example, it wins the WBO championship, and everybody said, well, there's three other champions out there in your weight class. So the fans want to see one champion. So how do you get one champion? Well, the sanctioning bodies have to agree that they're going to let the fighters fight each other for defending their championship. They call it a unified championship fight. So you have a unified championship fight. I mean, the IBF is involved, WBO, the IBF, and the WBC. You got all sanctioning bodies that are involved in that particular fight. Now, if a fighter just has the IBF belt and the other champion has the other 3 belts, then they're fighting for the unified belt. So if fighter A fighting fighter B, and he wants the IBF belt, he wins the IBF, but now he has all 12 belts, and now he's a unified champion. He has all of them, but very few fighters become a unified champion.
Okay, well, Joe, when we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit about that, and we'll give the audience something to chew on a little bit, because you've got different belt holders in different divisions. So, in fact, when we come back, we're going to dive into this a little bit and talk a little bit more about maybe the heavyweight class. So, folks, don't go anywhere. Last more to come here on the Sports Circus with Joe Cortez of the Joe Cortez Show and Fair But Firm. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Circus. Back in a moment.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. How do you not love that music? I'm Tom Brenneman.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Hello, welcome back to the Sports Circus. Hey, Joe Cortez and with the Fair Firm Show and the Joe Cortez Show. You can catch on your regular platforms on Facebook and on the YouTube channels every week on Wednesdays and Fridays. Anyway, I'm here on the show here with Sal, and we're here to talk about a little bit about boxing, what goes on behind the scenes, some of the information you viewers want to know about.
All right, and that, folks, is Joe Cortez, International Boxing Hall of Fame referee. Folks, where he's at right now, I got to tell you a little bit about this. If you've never been to, first of all, any kind of a man cave, this is the Supersonic Museum man cave. Now, you only have a shot of Joe where he is, just a little square, if you will. But if you had a chance to check this out, wait till you see this. Joe, why don't you walk us around if you can? Tell everybody where you're at. This is unbelievable. I spent a little time in this place, and this is crazy. Tell everybody what they're looking at, if you can.
Well, this is my gym. This is my domain. This is where I actually train, practice my ring mechanics, and I use this also as my studio where I do my interviews and have some of the fighters that I used to referee, like Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, George Foreman, myself there in the middle, Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Frida, and Julio Cesar Chavez. And this is why this chair was used by Miguel Cotto when he fought Floyd Mayweather back in the days. It was given to me as a gift. My grandson, Bryce Hampton, who plays with Purdue University, as a cornerback. That's the man, Gaspar Indian Ortega, who got me started in boxing when I was 12 years old. I met him in New York. And here's a picture of when we got inducted to the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Nacho Berenstein, Julio Cesar Chavez, Mike Tyson, Costa Zoo, and Sylvester Stallone, and myself. So these are some of the sports figures of I have also football, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, Jackie Robinson, and I have a little bit of basketball as well. So yeah, I cover all sports. And LeBron James tonight, I think he needs 30 more points to break the all-time record as far as points are concerned in basketball. And these are some of the pictures of my collection that I have on the walls of my museum. And this is the balcony on the top, another man cave up there, my caveman number 2 up the top. But this is my number 1 down the bottom here. Here's my desk, and I keep this is where I do my work, and my assistant, Susan Pratt, who will be working with me. She will be working out of that desk as well, helping me out with what we're doing here in Las Vegas, in my little domain, the Joe Cortez Museum in Las Vegas, but it's only private.
That is one of the greatest man caves I've ever seen. And frankly, folks, this is probably, for everybody that's watching this on television, video, if you're seeing it, this is probably one of the greatest man caves of all time. Truly, I've never seen anything like this. It's better than some Hall of Fames that I've walked into. And Joe, you know what the heck I'm talking about, don't you?
Yes, I do. I know it. Well, we try to do the best we can to keep the fans involved and have to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the sport of boxing.
Yeah, that is truly amazing. Okay, so back to boxing. And folks, you can learn more about that on the Joe Cortez Show as well as the Fair But Firm Show. Make sure you check those out, of course. That's Wednesdays and Fridays, if I get it right. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about the differences between the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, and IBF. The actual differences, which one is more prestigious than the other, if it actually exists?
Well, everybody feels that the WBC is the most prestigious because they've been around a long time. But actually, WBA was the first one. Then they started back over 35 years ago. Actually been like 55 years ago. So, but WBA was before that. But before the WBA was the NBA, National Boxing Association. It's in the United States. And they branched out to the World Boxing Council, the World Boxing Association, and the International Boxing Federation, and the World Boxing Organization. So they kind of have alphabet groups out there, which is something that people are confused with. Sometimes you ask me, Joe, who's the champion? Certain weight classes, there's so many sanctioning bodies out there, I lose track of who's the champion. They win the title this month, then they lose it 3 months later, and another champion wins it. It's just crazy. It makes it a little bit complicated for the fans to know who's really the true champion, unless you look at the heavyweight division right now. The true champion is Tyson Fury, who owns all 4 belts. When he defeated Anthony Joshua, and he knocked out Deontay Wilder. So, he has all 4 belts right now. So it's just something that fans get confused, but it's good for the fighters in the sense that they finally get a chance to win a championship. It's much easier for them to win a championship. And not only with one body, but now if they're losing with WBA, promoters or their managers will try to get them with the other sanctioning body. They have another shot at a title again. So they got better opportunities. It's a money maker for a lot of fighters, for the networks as well, and for the promoters. So everybody makes a little bit more money with the alphabet groups that are out there.
So, Joe, if you were boxing today, out of just those 4, the WBC, WBA, WBO, and IBF, if you could only win one belt, which would it be? Would it be the green belt, the WBC belt?
For me, it won't make any difference because I'm not going to pick sides with one over the other. But everybody knows that the green belt is the one that's more popular because they seem to promote it more than anybody else. And that's an important belt. I mean, it is one of the most important belts to have out there. I would love to have all 4 of them, but if I was fighting today, I definitely have one of them for sure. Well, I get a better chance.
Well, the funny thing is I think of, the big promotions, the mad money that comes with it, the prestige that comes with it. It seems like, and I don't know because I'm not in the boxing world, but it seems like the boxers today, let's just say today, they want the green belt first, or that's the one you've got to have. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement, yeah, because it's most popular, they promote it the most, and they're more involved with different, more stringent rules when it comes to drug testing, when it comes to knockouts, time period, the doctor, they have better seminars. They seem to be more on top of it than anybody else out there. They have this care program. They help out different communities in different countries around the world. They do a lot more than the other sanctioning body.
So now, Joe, in the film, let's go to the Rocky series. Rocky is holding up the multicolored belt, the red, white, and blue belt. Is that the WBA belt?
That's the WBC belt. The red, white, and blue. It could be a red, white, and blue belt is WBO belt. But I think in the Rocky movie, I think he's holding the green belt, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure it was in the early Rocky movies. It was the multicolored belt.
Okay, well, they have the multicolored belt. They have the ring magazine. That's like another sanctioning body. That he owns the WBC, the ring champion, ring magazine champion. I mean, that's only a magazine. That's not really a sanctioning body.
Right.
But they give him a nice, colorful belt, and they present that to the fighter. But he's the ring magazine champion. He's a WBO, WBF, WBI. There's so many groups.
I know, it's so confusing.
IBO. There's so many bodies out there. And I'm going to talk about 4 that you hear a lot about, but there's about another 5 or 6 more sanctioning bodies out there, more smaller groups, but they're out there.
Yeah, and then there are regional belts.
Consider themselves a world champion.
Joe, then there are regional belts on top of it. Just to muddy the water a little bit more, now you have a Pan American belt, a South American belt, you got this belt, you got that belt. Everyone's got a belt these days.
It sounds like religious groups. You start with the Catholics, you start with the Muslims, you start with the Jehovah's Witness. There's 1,000 different religions out there. Now, which is the real religion, And they all say, we are. Well, the sanctioning body say the same thing. We're the champions. We have the best champion in the world. But it gets the fans all confused out there. I say, listen, let's be neutral. Let's try to unify everything with everybody. Let's have this harmony amongst all of us. I don't want us to be like politics. One side bashes the other. It never seems to be a winner. I say, let's all get level. Let's just play a good, clean game. And let's make it a fair play for everybody. Harmony across the board.
Right. Well, that's it. So in our last couple of minutes of the segment here, Joe, I'm going to hold you over if you don't mind. I want to keep you on the show. We want to talk more about the Joe Cortez show and the Fair But Firm show, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So as we close out this segment, I want people to think about, yes, there are different belts for different weight classes. There are regional belts, which I've seen 4 different regional belts just from the WBC alone. One of my friends actually has 4 of those. And it's a little confusing to people, but I think we've exhausted the belt dialogue enough. But when we come back, Joe, I want to spend a little bit more time about some of those greats and what makes them great. Now, I want to talk about weight classes because that's kind of a big deal in this discussion. A lot of people don't really know much about the myriad of weight classes where we started earlier and why it's so significant to win in more than one weight class, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't talk about because it's hard to move up and down in weight classes and still fight at the same level. Just give me a quick 30-second answer on how difficult is it to really move up and down a weight class and be effective?
Well, what happens is when you're younger, your weight, of course, like all of us in life, we're much lighter when we're younger. And as we start getting 1 year, 2 years go by, 3, we try and gain a little bit more weight. So sometimes the champion like Manny Pacquiao started out as a 118 pounder. Then he went up to a 122 pounder. Then he went to 126. Then he went to 130. Then he went 135, 140, 147, 154. So he won 8 championships, 8 divisions. Going on, as he got older, he kept putting on weight. He kept winning in each one of those divisions. But the reason why, some heavyweights, like once you're a heavyweight, you can't, you get either heavier, but like Mike Tyson, when he was fighting like a 210, 215. Well, his last fight, he weighed about 235. Okay, but there was fighters back in the days when Joe Louis was champion, he was a 185 pounder.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
Hey everybody, this is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio. That's AAMP. That stands for All Ages Media Programming. Check it out at AAMP.tv for more information as well. Folks, this segment is brought to you in part by the Fair But Firm Show and the Joe Cortez Show. And here to tell you all about those shows is International Boxing Hall of Fame referee, inductee, the great Joe Cortez.
Thank you for having me on the show today. And again, I'm glad I'm able to get our viewers to listen to my show, what I'm talking about when it comes to boxing, to educate you fans out there, and for you managers, trainers, promoters, cutmen, all kinds of official judges, referees. You can learn a little bit at the Joe Cortez Show on Fair But Firm, under the umbrella of Fair But Firm.
All right, that's good stuff, folks. Make sure to check them out. Fair But Firm, and of course the Joe Cortez Show. I believe it's Wednesdays and Fridays. Pick your favorite social media platform, and you can find them there. Likely YouTube would be a really good choice, wouldn't it?
That's correct. YouTube channel, my Facebook channel for sure. And I'll be doing other things. There's a lot of folks out there want to know a little bit about Joe Cortez. I'm willing to share a little bit of my knowledge and wisdom with them so the fans can understand what's going on.
I think they want to know a lot more, Joe, because you've got all the knowledge on all the belts, all the boxers, all the ongoings in the dressing rooms, what happens with the gloves, what happens, of course, in the corners. There's multiple people in the corners. There are inspectors in the corners. Talk a little bit about that real quick. I want to know a little bit more about the inspectors in the corners. What's that all about?
Well, a lot of the folks out there don't know that the inspectors in the corner. They try to keep themselves kind of out of the picture. But you can see them here in Las Vegas. They wear the burgundy jacket. They have a tag that says, or a badge that says, Police Nevada State Athletic Commission inspectors. They are out there to monitor the corners. They're policing the corner, making sure that things are not going wrong, that they're not using illegal substance in the corner, and that sometimes they're the eyes and ears for the referees. If something's going wrong in that corner, and I'm in my corner in between rounds, I may not hear what's going on in the red corner or in the blue corner, but the inspector will bring it to my attention, like something's going on in this corner. I'll immediately go over to that corner, see what's going on. He said, well, he heard that the fighter said he wasn't feeling good. He feels that he wants to quit. When I say, you're not okay, he said, no, I'm not. I'll wave it right there. I don't hesitate. I just wave it off. Stop. Once the fighter tells me that he can't continue, you don't want to call in the doctor. You don't call nobody. You wave it off. It's a referee. You're the referee is the captain of the ship. And we have that ring, that domain is mine. I'm in charge there. And that's what I have to take action. A lot of fans don't know that, but the inspectors are the eyes and ears. They help us out. It's part of the teamwork that we have in there.
Okay, so talk about the idea. Now, you mentioned in a previous episode about the possibility of maybe a foreign substance in the water. Because I asked you about boxers putting items in their gloves or whatever it was. And you told me an example of that in last week's episode. But how do you know, or how does the inspector know, or how can you test? Let's say there's a foreign substance in their hydrating fluid, some kind of water, whatever it is. How do you know, and how do you test in the middle of a fight? What happens there?
Well, it's hard to test, but sometimes they come in with certain like a coagulant for a cut, and the inspectors know what color it is. And when I see something that looks abnormal, something that's not in the jar that's supposed to be in, if they have it in a separate jar, then the inspector has to already say, wait a minute, that's supposed to be a jar with the label on it. This is a plain jar. You took it out of it. They mix your own stuff. You can't mix your own stuff. It got to be like a coagulant 1 in 1,000. There's certain what you call it, milligrams or whatever the kind of amount of medication supposed to be into that bottle. I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you one thing: doctors do come to our seminar and they instruct the referees and the inspectors what to look for and when to confiscate something when they see something that's going wrong. You also can tell by body language that the guy is doing something. You can see he kind of scared, try to cover it up. You don't see, he try to cover it up. But you got cameras and you got people go around the ringside looking and see something's not right in that corner. A good example is public, so I can talk about it. Panama Lewis used some substance on the fighter. Well, two things he did wrong. He removed the padding in the fighter's gloves, and that's illegal. And meanwhile, that was Luis Resto, and they both ended up going to jail. They got suspended from life on boxing. And another time when Panama Lewis same guy used something when Aaron Pryor was fighting Alex Arguello. He told the cornerman, "Give me the water." He said, "No, the one that I mix." You can hear it clearly. He said, "No, the one that I mix." So now you got to wonder what the hell you could tell the difference. But he said, "No, give me that water. No, the other one, the one that I mixed." So he got caught saying that on the air. The microphones picked that up. So this is why good to have inspectors in the corner, because they hear these things going on. They say, "Wait a minute, a rep," So then they confiscate whatever they have there, and the fight may go on, or they may, if the commission determines to stop the fight then and there, they can. But once they, let's say fighters have some illegal substance in their body, they take a heroin or marijuana, some kind of illegal medication, something that's not permitted. It's banned under rules of boxing, and some of these fighters still use it and to enhance their performance in the ring, and they get tested after the fight. So in the dressing room, they have inspectors in the dressing room checking these fighters when they urinate in a little bottle. They have to be in there actually looking at it to make sure, because sometimes back in the old days, they were not in there actually looking, and they say what the word out there was, be careful, the robe that they had on him, he had a jar in his pocket of the robe, and he had the urine from his trainer and not his actual urine. So, you get that's why the inspector got to be there actually watching, urinating in that bottle, and the inspector take the bottle right from him right then and there, and put the seal on it, and it's given to the individual to collect the sample for the testing. And sometimes some fighters, you got to wait a couple of days. You hear after the test came back, the fighter tested positive for whatever illegal substance, and they get suspended. If they won the title on that, they lose the title. Off the scale, they lose the title, and then they get fined on top of that. And so when you get fined and you lose the title, that means that you could be prohibited from fighting for a year, 6 months, a year, whatever. So it's very, very, very. It can be very costly. You can lose the title and be fined a hefty amount of money.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because as I think about this, and I'm trying to go a little bit beyond, because there are listeners and viewers out there that are asking the same questions that I'm asking right here. My question is, let's just say hypothetically that there is a urine sample somehow that is put in place of the fighter. Now, is there a way, do they do a pre-fight urine test and a pro-fight urine test so they can match them up genetically?
No, not match them up. What they do is they already know. It's like me. If you go for blood work today, they don't have to match it up. They can see, when they do the testing, they can see what illegal substance is in there.
Right.
We don't care what you did before, but some fighters who have a history of doing drugs and they get tested, they get caught, then they can do a random testing on them while they're training prior to the fight. Okay? And if they find it positive during training, maybe the fight could be canceled. But they're told that beforehand. But they want to make sure that the fighter, they know that they're going to be doing the random testing, and that's why it's so important to do these tests on a regular basis.
Right. Well, Joe, the reason I ask, folks, in case you're just tuning in, we're here with international boxing referee, Hall of Fame inductee, and that's the great Joe Cortez. Joe, my questions lie in the pre and post for a very good reason, because we think of genetic testing on certain things, right? You could take a strand of hair from somebody and pull all their full DNA, et cetera, right? So the reason I say the post-fight and maybe a pre-fight genetic database or something where yes, it could be a random urine test that will show there's no drugs in it or no substances, whatever that is. But if you don't have something to match it up against, say, hey, that's the same genetic makeup of that fighter that we know and we have on record. If it doesn't match, it doesn't match. That's the reason I ask. Is there a way to possibly? Do you think the boxing commission is going to actually do something like this at some point?
Well, they're having a seminar with doctors in Louisville, Kentucky in the next 2 months. They're going to have a panel of officials and doctors talking about changes they have to make in boxing. That hair testing stuff, that won't work on me at all,
Listen, I have the same problem. I'm just wearing a hat for everybody that's watching. I am follically challenged. And Joe, you got a couple of years on me. I got to tell you, man, at some point, I'm going to have the same problem. They won't be able to pull hair out of my head either, but that's okay. I'm okay with that because that's just the natural progression of life. But I think about those questions here in our last minute of the segment. I think about those questions because in today's time, it's very easy to genetically test people for things. And we're getting to a very advanced medical state where this kind of testing is very simple. And people, the average Joe or Josephine, they could go and get their own DNA tested by pick your favorite company. I know there's different companies that do all the genetic testing and so forth. But I think about what are the ways that people are not only tested, but how do they get around those testings? That's why we basically have the boxing police, right, to enforce these kinds of things. Take 10 seconds, give me your thoughts, then we're going to go to break.
You got it. Well, I'll tell you, if they continue with the looking into the medical side of it, that's why they have these seminars, these talks all getting together with the sanctioning body, especially combat sport. We want to make sure that the fighters get a fair shake in the fight. So that's why I'm glad they're making changes as we go along.
Joe, we're going to hold you over if you want. If you want to stick around with us, you're welcome to stick around with us for the final segment. It's entirely up to you. What do you think?
Go ahead. We can go for it, but I'm ready.
All right, that's good stuff. Folks, we're going to be back with the great Joe Cortez, International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee as a referee. And this guy has seen it all, done it all. He's been in movies, too. You've probably seen him in the Rocky movie as well. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. Back here with Joe.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
My favorite one had to do with the Green Bay Packers. And I love the fact that they dealt off Ty Montgomery because of a blown assignment. Green Bay isn't Green Bay unless they have a good running game. Then they can win 10 Super Bowls. The fact is, you don't have a running game. You've got 70% passing, and that's not where Aaron Rodgers needs to be. He needs to be in a position where he's got a running game to offset the passing game and so forth. I like the move. Green Bay didn't have a running game anyway, so all they're doing is saying, we're going to get rid of you because you don't follow instructions.
Well, he made one of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen. There's 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. They traded him on Tuesday.
They should have cut him on Sunday night.
He shouldn't have been on the plane back to Green Bay.
Right, they should have made him walk back to Green Bay.
No, it was a terrible play. Now, he's not a stupid guy. He went to Stanford. Really? He's not a dumb guy.
He's not a dumb guy, but he doesn't follow instructions.
He made a terrible play.
The fact is he didn't follow instructions. And you say he's not a dumb guy. His own agenda he put ahead of his team.
I agree.
Thus, he is a dumb guy. Right or wrong?
Wrong. He just got selfish. You're not going to convince me that a guy from Stanford's a dum-dum.
No!
Yeah, this is Sidney Justin from The Miracles.
So you heard yesterday's show at Roy Firestone. Didn't you hear a little clip about him going into the office where Smokey was at? That was really good material, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was really funny, man.
Yeah, and then you heard him.
I thought it was hilarious. It was cool, though. It was cool. Really cool story, man. I enjoyed listening to that.
Right, and then he gave a couple of bars. Can you give us a couple of more from Ooh Baby Baby? And let's see if you could do it better than Roy Firestone. Come on, man!
All right, you know what? Why not? I did you wrong. My heart went out to play, but in the game I lost you. What a price to pay. Hey, I'm crying. Ooh, baby, baby. How's that, man?
That's
Is that okay? Is that good enough?
That's incredible.
Fantastic.
You know why? Because that's what you do. You're in the incredible business, Sid. That's awesome. Yes. Only on the Sports Circus. You're going to get sports. You get music.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are our podcast, which are the recorded shows in full. We don't cut them. We don't edit them. They are what they are. They're sitting out there, folks. So if you want to hear and you missed any part of this show or others, make sure you go to thesportscircus.com and click on any one of those, whether it's iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google or Amazon or Audible, etc., etc. It just goes on and on. Also, make sure you check out our partners. And of course, those partners have been with us for many, many years. And of course, one of those is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. Check them out at CSNCoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. And also a big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from Honolulu all the way to Atlanta, various affiliates across the country, also all those on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable Television affiliates, Hotel Television in over 500,000 rooms, gaining 4 million impressions per hour. We're here with the great Joe Cortez. Folks, make sure to check out the Joe Cortez Show and Fair But Firm, also both his shows on Wednesdays and Fridays on Pick Your Favorite for a streaming platform. In fact, I think the best one for those is YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right, Joe?
Yeah, YouTube is one of the most popular ones out there. Also, Facebook. For you viewers out there, Facebook. On Friday, the Joe Cortez Show, I have my calls with me, Susan Pratt, who will be doing the show with me on Fridays, and we'll be talking about everything in life. We're about helping people out there, getting people on the right track, informing people what to do, what not to do, things paying it forward, and that's what Susan and I like to do a lot.
Right. Okay, so Joe, I notice you're just like me. Look, I'm holding, I've got a ring on just like yourself. All right. And as a matter of fact, we lost Joe. Joe's going to be back here in just a moment. But nonetheless, Joe, let me just tell you a little bit about Joe Cortez. Let's see if we can get him back. Joe has been a part of the Sports Circus for quite some time. And he's been on the show nonetheless several times. In fact, the first time he was on was well over a year ago. But what I will say is this. In the time that we've had Joe on the show, we've talked boxing with a lot of people. Joe is one of those guys that give us a very good perspective of the boxing world. Not many people have Joe's ability when it comes to breaking down what happens in the ring, what happens in the dressing rooms, what happens at the weigh-in. We talked about that, in fact, recently, and that was really interesting. You wouldn't believe some of the things that actually go on. It's unbelievable. But nonetheless, we have heard a lot, we've seen a lot, but Joe fills in the gaps of what it is that we don't see. Because there's only so many eyes that you have. You have 2 eyes, right? Nonetheless, you can only watch so much. But the boxing police or the boxing commission, they have their inspectors. And then, of course, you have the corner guys that will tell everybody what's going, or better yet, they'll tell Joe Cortez, who is the referee in this particular case. He's the referee for the show, or it is a show in the ring. So he's telling everybody what's going on in the ring by his instructions to the fighters. So you, as the fight audience, will get a chance to see what's actually happening. And what I like the most about all of this is that Joe fills in the gaps for everybody as far as what they're seeing, what's going on, what they're missing, more importantly, because you never know really what's going on in that ring. And frankly, that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we address in this program. And also, honestly, I want to make sure that people understand what they should be looking for. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you have to sometimes be instructed if you're not a pro in this boxing world. So that's why we have guys like Joe onto the show. We bring guys like Joe into the program for a lot of good reasons, because frankly, if we don't have guys like Joe Cortez, well, let's face it, what we don't know is basically ignorance. We have no idea. And we want to make sure that we get Joe back on camera. Let's see if Joe can enable his camera. There he is. All right, Joe's back with us. We had a little disconnect here. No problem. Hey, folks, listen, it's live. Anything could happen, and we're not going to edit this out because that's not what we do here. We're going to leave it live because it is a circus, and certainly we prove it every day. All right, Joe, welcome back. So, Joe, I was telling everybody about kind of like the boxing police, the boxing, the judge, if you will, the inspectors, and all these different things that happen, all the different things that people are directed to look at. But, you were wearing a ring, and I want you to put that ring. I think that is a ring from the boxing world. I've got something here first that I want you to see. I don't know if you can see this, Joe. Can you see that?
Yes, it's a little blurry there. I see something. I can't quite see it.
That is from Purdue University, which I know is something near and dear to you because of, well, I believe it's your grandson that plays on the football team for those Boilermakers. Yes!
Yes.
Of course, I'm a Purdue guy. Yes, sir. Yes, I'm a Purdue grad, a proud Purdue grad, as well as others. But at this time, you have a really cool ring, and I know you wanted to show it to everybody. What do you got over there? Put that next to the camera so we can see it.
Today I have my, this is my Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame ring. My International Hall of Fame ring, I didn't wear it today. I wanted to show this one off the Nevada Hall of Fame boxing ring.
That's great stuff. That's great stuff, folks. And if you've never seen something like that, it's kind of a cool thing. It's almost like when I'm hanging out with my buddies from football, and they have their Super Bowl rings. It's just something you don't see very often. A Hall of Fame ring, a Super Bowl ring, whatever the hell it is. You're one of the few guys that I've been around, Joe, that has one of those really cool rings. And look, you earned every minute of it. But I want to ask you something about what determines one of the great boxers, if you will. Because we have, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, folks, we have those boxers that have won multiple titles. But for me, I like the fact that there are boxers that have won in multiple divisions. And you've won, like Manny Pacquiao, with all of his, I think, 7 or 8 divisions, whatever. Floyd Mayweather with 5. Sugar Ray Leonard with 4. Roy Jones with 4. Sugar Ray Robinson with 2. What makes the greatest boxers in the world, Joe?
Well, the greatest boxers, your performance in the ring, because no matter how many titles you have won, how many different weight classes. Like people say Manny Pacquiao because he won 8 titles, 8 different divisions. He's the greatest, but I don't say he's the greatest. He's up there with the top 10 in the world in the history of boxing. But Sugar Ray Robinson stands out. Him and Joe Louis, from the golden era. Those are the guys really stand out the most. Those are really real champions. They only had one sanctioning body at the time, or maybe just only the NBA was when Sugar Ray Robinson and Joe Louis were around. But they were considered the elite world champion, and they were really some of the best. I mean, they can really box. They had good ring mechanics, good punching power, good defense, good offense. They were great fighters.
Joe, where does Rocky Marciano fit in that discussion?
Well, he retired undefeated with 51 professional fights. But if you look at some of the record books, you see that there's other fighters that had many more wins than that before they lost their first fight. I don't know where they say that Marciano holds the record. He might hold the record in that era, but there's fighters that have had 94 professional fights before they lost their first fight. And Joe Louis, a lot of fighters up there. Julio Cesar Chavez won a lot of professional fights before he lost his first fight. He had about 90-some-odd fights before he lost his first fight as well. So, I mean, people have got to just start look at the truth about who's really the real good fighter, the real one, who have the best ring mechanics and everything in boxing.
Yeah, I think here in our last few minutes of the show, I think a lot of people that I've come across, they have a consensus that Joe Louis was the best.
Well, I'll tell you, they're probably right when you say Joe Louis was probably the greatest, because he did hold the heavyweight championship, and the heavyweight champions, they were really the glamour of all divisions. Okay, you had a heavyweight championship fight. That's when everybody came out because they were the biggest. They were the glory division, the heavyweights.
Yeah,
Even
Joe seems to be that consensus guy. Okay, listen, Joe Cortez, we've got just a couple of minutes. I want you to tell everybody again, give a quick summary of the Joe Cortez show and the Fair But Firm show. Take a minute or so and talk about these, where everybody could find them, what you cover, who's on the show, et cetera, et cetera. Go ahead.
Well, like I said before, Susan Pratt and myself, we do the Joe Cortez show on Fridays. We'll be doing the show together. I've been doing it for a while already. And the Fair But Firm show, I've been doing for over 10 years. And that's, everybody knows me as Mr. Fair But Firm. Everybody knows when Joe speaks about boxing under the Fair But Firm umbrella, they know that Joe Cortez brings nothing but good information to our viewers out there, especially the fans and some of the fighters around the world, managers, trainers, judges. They all like to tune in because they know they're getting the true stories of what goes on in boxing. When somebody like myself, who's been doing this for over 60 years of my life.
Now, Joe, if let's just say some of our viewers out there, they have companies or interests, if they're interested in partnering up with Joe Cortez and his shows, how do they do that?
Well, if they want to get a little bit more information, they have to speak to my agent. I have an agent. Her name is Deanne Cameron, who's been representing me for a number of years. And she's the one that they have to speak to try to get everything in the right way. We do it with the right connections, the right paperwork, with the right kind of contract. And we want to do things that's fair for everybody on both sides.
Right. So, folks, if you're interested in partnering up with Joe Cortez and his programs, you could email them. And, Joe, what's the email for people to reach out? Say it nice and slow and repeat it two times, if you will.
It's simple. Joe Cortez at joecortez.com.
Joe Cortez at joecortez.com. Pretty simple stuff, folks. And all you've got to do is make sure you reach out to Joe, tell him what your plans are, tell him what you're trying to achieve. And this is the guy that has the biggest names in the fight world on his program on a regular basis. He comes on to here as our boxing insider, and we're doing something a little bit greater for Joe, and we're trying to get our reps in to make sure we get everything done right. And Joe, we want to do a professional job with you because that's what we do here on the circus. Yet we are a circus, and of course, we prove it every day because sometimes things happen and you never know what the heck is going to happen on this program. But Joe, again, thanks for joining us here today on the Sports Circus.
Well, thank you very much, and I want to make sure that our viewers out there get to watch the Joe Cortez show on Friday with Susan Pratt, my co-host, and Wednesday it's the Fair But Firm show that I've been doing for many, many, many years. And you can find it on YouTube channel and on Facebook, the Joe Cortez show, and Fair But Firm. Everybody knows me as Mr. Fair But Firm. You can see behind me on the wall here. I'll tell you another look on my Fair But Firm. This is what everybody knows me as the fairbutfirm.com. It was the website as well. And
okay.
I just want everybody to know that I'm trying to be as fair as possible with everybody. My viewers out there, I want you all to learn what I'm talking about when it comes to Fair But Firm. And my good friend there, Sal, I'm doing a show with him today to let him know that we're fair, but we're firm.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time right here on the Sports Circus. So long, everyone. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.